For more awesome content, head to ystech.org, link in the description. So we're back with another PC build, and this one will be for October. Now, I know the market hasn't got any much better, but I thought it'd be a nice change to give a cheaper build for once. So if you want to, go ahead and refer back to the videos that I made previously, so the ones for September, both the pre-build showdown and the brand new PC. So if you guys want a little bit more expensive builds with slightly better parts, I would say, then go check those videos out. They're still pretty valid from what I can tell and as far as I know. But let's go ahead and see the build that's a wee bit cheaper here. So here it is. It's pretty decent for what it is. It comes in at about $1,840.40, depending on what parts you go for. Of course, you can flex these out and pick other things as you wish, but I believe this is a pretty decent build for what it is in terms of its price. So let's get straight into it and see why I've gone with some of these parts. So now let's start off with the CPU. So with the CPU, I've gone with the i5-10400F, and it comes in around anywhere from $274 to about $275 from Extreme PC, PC Force, Computer Lounge, and PB Tech. It's a decent price and it's a good performing CPU for what it is. I believe that the 10400F is probably one of the best CPUs for under $300 right now in New Zealand. And the reason I'd say that as well is because it's a 6-core processor, and I'd definitely say with newer titles or even esports titles now, such as Valorant, they really do need more than 4 cores. I personally found when I was on an older i7 4-core CPU, and even my Ryzen 5 1500X with a lower tier graphics card, I really could feel it tugging away, like it just couldn't keep up with the game as much. And that could be just due to updates in the game, but even for future proofing, I still do believe 6 cores is probably the way to go. 4 cores is not bad. If you always want to get like an i3, that would probably be fine as well, or a cheaper AMD one processor, but I do have to say 6 cores is probably a minimum for most games at the moment, and just to be more versatile as a whole. In terms of its pricing, now under $300 is really good, and what does it have in terms of competitors? So in terms of competitors, it has the AMD Ryzen 5 3600, which is similar performing in terms of games. Of course, the Ryzen 5 3600 does perform usually better in multitasking and productivity type thing activities, but at the moment, the Ryzen 5 3600 is at nearly $400 New Zealand, so it's not worth it for $120 extra if I were to build brand new at the moment. That's very, very expensive. And its older or younger brother, actually, the i5-11400F, is actually out of stock at the moment, unfortunately. So this was also a good buy if you could get it. The i5-11400F was going for anywhere around $270 to about $290. And if you can get one in stock, I would go for it. I would just change the motherboard. I will say why in a second. But overall, the i5-11400F is a good step up from the i5-10400F. It's just that if you can get one in stock is the real question at the moment. And at the time of making this video, they're actually not in stock, unfortunately. So basically, if you want to get a good CPU, value CPU per se, I would probably rank them 11400F if you can get it in stock below $290 New Zealand, and then the 10400F, and then if the Ryzen 5 3600 comes down in price to at least $320. So that's unlikely to happen, but that's my ranking of these CPUs. So let's head over to the motherboard, and off of the motherboard, we will be going with the i5-10400F, not the 11400F. So for the 10400F, the Asus Prime H510M-E micro ATX motherboard I've gone with, and it comes in about $144.99 from PB Tech. Now this board's not anything spectacular. It has 2 slots for RAM, it has one M.2 slot, one 16X slot, and yeah, I mean, nothing else too special about the board. You guys can read it up if you want to. Now the reason I went with an H510 board over an H560 board or B560 board is because on the H510 board for at least the 10400F, it's a little bit cheaper And on the 10400F, you actually won't be able to take advantage of the speeds in terms of overclocking for the RAM speed. So you will only be able to go up to 2666 as a minimum. Like, that's your minimum and maximum as far as I know, if you choose 2666. If you want to go for like 3200, you're going to have to get a better board like the Z boards, which you're going to have to overclock on. And that's just because of the nature of the CPU. The i5-10400F only supports up to 2666 natively. If you want to obviously overclock, then that's fine as well. But I think this is a good budget board for what it is. I do have an Asus board myself. Not this one, and not even the Intel one, but it should be fine. Obviously, you can return it if anything goes bad, but hopefully not. And especially on a budget, I'd say this is probably a decent pick compared to the B560 board. So the B560 board is something you would go for with the 11400F, as you can use that unlocked speed for RAM, and you'd be able to use that to its full capacity. So for the RAM now, I've been speaking so much about RAM, so let's head over to it. I've gone with the Kingston 8GB DDR4 2666 CL19. And that comes in anywhere from about $65 to, I would say, about $102 from PB Tech and Paradigm TCs. So a bit expensive in terms of who you go for, but I've gone with 2 sticks of it, so 65 each. And if you want to, you can also switch it out for another RAM kit. I'll just show it to you guys now. So if you guys want some cool little shields on your RAM as well, they're in red. The G.Skill Ripjaws V 16GB kit of 2 8GB RAM sticks, 2666 CL19 as well, will cost you about, was it $5 more, I think? Something like that, $4 to $5 more. And it's $129. So if you guys want to go for that as well, the combined price are pretty similar. Personally, I'd probably go for the G.Skill Ripjaws, but the only reason I've done these two is just because of price. And I want to show you guys, like, you can get something cheaper if you're really scraping the bottom of the barrel. I know, I've been there as well. But personally, I probably go for the G.Skill Ripjaws, but I will keep this in the build as well. So let's head over to the SSD. So I've gone with the Samsung 870 EVO 500GB, and it comes in anywhere from about $110 to about $120. I would say don't pay anything more than $115 for it. It's usually comes down to anywhere from $105 to $110 New Zealand on special. It's a good SSD. I use it myself. I have 2 of them. One was gifted to me, luckily, by a friend. I'm really grateful for that. It was a really, really nice gift. A great SSD. I have a really good experiences with it. I've used mine for quite a long time now, and I have no complaints. I've not really had any complaints with any Samsung SSDs. That's the reason I put it in there. There's also the Crucial MX500, which is also a decent storage SSD as well. So you can put your operating system on it as well. I'll show it to you guys now. Let me just find it here. So the Crucial MX500 is also a really good SSD. I have this one hooked up to my PS3 at the moment, and it's about $94.99. Personally, I would still go for the Samsung one, but if you really are wanting to save a bit of cash, the Crucial MX500 is also a decent SSD for what it is in terms of its price, its performance, and reliability. Personally, mine, I haven't had any issues with it, and I've had mine for nearly 2.5, 3 years now. So good SSD. Both options are pretty decent for what they are. I'd probably say for what they are, the Crucial one, but the Samsung one definitely is one of the top tier SSDs in my opinion. You can also go for an M.2 drive if you want to as well, if you want to go even faster. So anything like the Evo 970 from Samsung, let me show you guys that. So something like the Samsung 970 Evo Plus, about $129. This motherboard does have an M.2 slot, so you can put it in, and you will get even faster speeds on your computer for your operating system. Now, I haven't actually included a hard drive in this video, and the reason I haven't is because this is supposed to be a cheaper, more alternative budget build, and you can get a hard drive secondhand pretty cheap, so usually about 1 terabyte for $30. So if you purely want to put games on that drive, then I would probably go for that. That's something I would personally do, and I personally have done. I got a 2 terabyte drive for $50, and I put all my games on it. However, I do not put any personal files on it, such as photos, memories, anything personal, such as CVs as well, and resumes, just anything that I can lose and can't afford to lose. I just don't put it on the secondhand hard drives. I just put games because I know I can re-download them. So that's fine. If I can re-download them, they can go straight on the games file, so games hard drive. So that's good. And if you guys want to get a brand new hard drive as well, it will cost you about $75 from Western Digital or Seagate. So that's pretty decent as well, but I haven't included in this build just because I didn't think there's really a need to in terms of this budget build. 500 gigs is pretty good to start off as well. Let's head over to the graphics card. Now, the graphics card market is an absolute mess. I'll say this over and over again, and it's absolutely insane. These prices are quite absurd, to be honest, but they are what they are, and they look to be sticking. And even going to next year, I'm not even sure if prices will fall. It looks like they're just going to rise a little bit, if not stay the same. So, this is what the PC builds we're going to have to go for from now and into the future. So I'm starting to lose hope a little bit, but that's alright. For the graphics card, we've gone with the MSI Radeon RX 6600 XT in 8GB card, and it comes in at about $900 New Zealand from Extreme PC, PB Tech, PC Force, and First Wave. So these are decent prices. Oh my god, I can't believe saying this, but for its performance, it's actually not that bad, because what we're comparing it to is the RX 3060. So the RX 3060, if I show you guys, ranges around a similar price as well, but the RX 6600 XT still performs a little bit better. And the reference I'm using for the better performance slightly, and actually a few titles, is the Hardware Unboxed video, and they managed to compare the 6600 XT to a 3060. So in that instance, it looked a lot of times in 1080p. I'm just going to be referring to 1080p benchmarks, that the 6600 XT just looked to perform quite a bit better. Let me show you guys that video as well. The video I'm referring to is the best graphics card you can buy, Radeon RX 6600 XT versus RTX 3060. So relatively, he says on average it was better on about 6% for the RX 6600 XT. And yeah, I mean, for the price, definitely I'd probably go for this card over 3060. So let's find 3060s on here. So 3060. Okay, so we can see a price comparison here, and it looks to be like the RX 6600 XT is still about $50 cheaper than the cheapest RTX 3060 and performs better. The only downside to the RX 6600 XT is, unfortunately, they put half the bandwidth in. So instead of using the full 16x bandwidth, they only use 8x, and I believe they use this as a cost-saving measure in order to try and bring down the price of the RX 6600 XT. Now, I wish they hadn't, and I don't really know what it means for the future, but currently, I believe that this card is actually quite decent for the price and what it offers. I think it's the better out of the two. So in this price category of under 1,000, I'd say stay away from the older graphics cards such as the 1660 Ti's or the 1660, the GTX 1030s, the 1050 Ti's that got re-released, and the re-released 2060s. I believe that this is probably one of the better go-to options for buying a graphics card under $1,000. Now, I can't believe I'm saying this, but at $900, it's probably one of the better cards. If you want a card under $700, under $600, under $500, I think you're going to have to go secondhand. Seriously, the market is so messed up. I would not recommend you guys to spend nearly $750 on a 2060 or a 1660 Ti. That is just not right. That's so wrong, and I don't think that's a good recommendation. I just think that if you want a cheaper card, you're seriously gonna have to get a secondhand card. These cards are seriously overpriced. Are you kidding me? $379 for an GTX 1050 Ti. In 2019, at the end of 2019, I purchased my RX 580 for the equivalent of about 250 New Zealand dollars. I brought it in from Amazon, US. So seriously, my 1050 Ti that I purchased in 2017, I bought that for about, I believe it was $280. You see what I mean? The prices are starting to rise, and a lot of these so-called budget options now are actually not worth it, and they're not going to perform very well. So for $379, you probably get something like a 980 Ti or a 1060, so secondhand. So I would probably go for those options instead of getting a brand new card. Now, I know there's risk involved with getting a secondhand card, and some of you guys might not be actually wanting to do that because you don't want to take that risk on. And some of you guys, it's not even your money, it's probably your parents' money, so they'd probably not be willing to do that. But seriously, it's worth a look. And with these prices, you're not going to be getting the best of performance. The 1650 as well, it's not that great for its price. $529 last year, at nearly from October to December, you could still get a 5600 XT for the same price. That's enough about the graphics card. In summary, if you guys want a brand new card under $1,000, I'd go for the RX 6600 XT. Stay away from the older cards, such as the 2060, the 1660 Ti, the 1650, the 1050 Ti, and other older cards. Try to go with the current generation, 1660 XT or the 3060 for under $1,000. And if you want it under $1,000 card and you want it under like $500, then I'd probably say go secondhand. And if you can't go secondhand, well, unfortunately, you're going to be getting less price to performance. But at the same time, you understand that you probably won't be able to get a brand new card that you like that has good performance. So things to consider. But overall, I think this is the way to go. Let's go over to the case now. So I've gone with the MSI MagForge 100R ATX mid-tower case. This is a decent case from what I've seen. I've only seen pictures online, to be honest with you guys. I believe it has a power supply shroud. It's a mid-tower case, so it's nice and large. It comes with at least 2 fans. I know that for sure. So I've included a fan as well if you guys want to spice it up. If you want to put one at the top, one at the bottom, and one at the back, you need an exhaust fan for sure. So personally, if I were you guys, I wouldn't even buy the extra fan that I've included, but it would be nice to have the 2 included ones at the front and your exhaust fan is the one I've included. But it has a mesh front panel, which is good, and it's only about $89 to about $109. It's a decent case, and I like it for what it looks like, and it's a good change instead of getting those really expensive cases like the 4000D from Corsair or anything like that. Now, case is up to you can change it, but my advice, try to get something with a mesh front panel, and try to get something with a power supply shroud, and if it feels lackluster, like the aluminium on the case feels a bit bad quality, then I'd probably say skip it and try to go for something better. But from what I've seen, I personally have not seen this case in real life. From what I've seen online, it looks like a pretty nice case. So let's go over to the power supply now. I've gone with the Corsair RMX 550 watt, and it comes in about $137 to $140 from First Wave, Extreme PC, PC Force. And yeah, that's about the retailers they have it on special at the moment, or normal price, I believe. I'm not too sure. But yeah, it's a good power supply. I have the RMX 750, so even higher wattage than this. It's gold rated, and I believe a lot of its parts are actually from Japan, so really high quality parts to put in this power supply. It's reliable, and it's good as well. It's gold rated. And yeah, so for this type of build, I'd probably say 550 watts a minimum. Just because, I mean, it'd be nice to have something to move up later, such as 650 watt or 750 watt in future, but that's a little bit overkill for this build. I'd say 550 watt is a good place to start, especially for a cheaper build like this, and it's a really high quality power supply. Like, this is really, really, really good stuff. So I'd definitely go with the RMX 550, and if you can't get that, the Silverstone Strider is also really good. So I've got it on the side here if you guys want to see that. 169 and 149, I believe, 143 from Extreme PC. So the Silverstone Strider I've actually put in a few of my friends' PC builds now, and it's also a good power supply. But I would probably go for the RMX 550. I mean, this is an amazing power supply. And let's head over to the last thing, so the case fan. I've gone with the Noxua F12 PMX Chrome Max Black Swap, and it's a 120mm fan, and that will usually, well, it would probably act as your exhaust fan on your PC build. So it's from Noxua, it's black, and it's $47.99. Pretty decent. You can get them pretty cheap off Trade Me sometimes. I've seen some of them go for like $30 or so secondhand. Secondhand fans should be fine as long as they haven't been used or abused too much, or if you see too much dust, probably give it a skip. But yeah, I think it's a good matte black option for a non-RGB build for once. And yeah, I think that about sums up the PC build. So it comes to $1,840, and I think that's pretty expensive, but I think for the price, this is a pretty well-performing computer. It's got a i5-10400F, and it's got an RX 6600 XT. You're going to be playing games on pretty much 1080p high. That's really, really good. I definitely say this is a good PC. It's relatively future-proof. It's definitely something I would build if I had the money to in this type of market. If I had to go with a brand new computer, obviously personally I would go half and half, brand new and secondhand. That'd probably be the best thing to do. But overall, if you guys like the video, make sure you go and like it. Make sure you subscribe, turn the bell notification on, leave a comment below if you want to. Check out wisetech.org for the latest post reviews and much more. I'll see you guys there at wisetech.org. But other than that, I hope you guys have an awesome day. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.